Good morning, and welcome to your daily Farm and Home Show, brought to you by the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. And now, here's your host.
Good morning, and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and this morning we're visiting with Jason Phillips. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Joanna.
Well, I'm glad you're here today because you are going to talk about something that is important, but I think sometimes overlooked, and that's lime and lime quality.
Yeah, I do. I feel like a lot of people, do not pay as much attention to lime as they do fertilization, as well as the lime quality. And, we always want to maximize our dollars, so there's a lot of things that we should pay attention to in terms of lime and lime quality.
And probably the first step in that is knowing what our soil makeup is.
Exactly, yeah. So we need to utilize the soil test, which we offer at the Extension Service, in order to determine if we're going to need to add lime. Typically, our soils in these areas are acidic, so it's very common for a soil test to call for the addition of lime. Also, nitrogen fertilizer drives down the pH, requiring us to add lime as well.
Yeah, so it's an important aspect of just our agronomic, maintenance plan.
Sure.
But a lot of times people say, oh, well, I add so many tons an acre every couple years, no matter what.
Well, what I always say is what worked last year won't necessarily work this year. And, we want to have our pH where it needs to be so that those nutrients will be available to the plant that we're trying to grow. And if it's too low, for instance, then those will become bound up in the soil and not available to our plants. So certain people, they say, well, I throw down this much per acre. Well, if you get your pH too high, those nutrients can also become bound up in the soil and unavailable to plants. Therefore, you would want a soil test on a regular basis, but also be mindful that lime is rock breaking down. So it takes time for this to actually affect your pH. So it's
you have to
important.
be a little patient.
It's
then.
important to know, when you go and you submit a soil test, it may call for lime, but if you added 2 tons to the acre, if that's what it called for of lime the previous year, you be mindful that it's on the rise and you don't need to add another 1.5 tons. Or eventually you could get your pH actually too high.
And a lot of times we're talking about this as far as agronomic crops go, but the same principles apply to homeowners and lawns and vegetable gardens and those type of things too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Any desirable plant that you're trying to grow has a preferred pH. Most of them are kind of in that 6.2 to 6.5 range, but then you've got some outliers. So you need to know, like blueberries, for instance, like a pH of 4.5 to 5. In that case, you'd add sulfur. Alfalfa likes a pH around 7, so we got to add a little bit more lime in order to get that pH up for a crop like alfalfa.
So a lot of planning goes into this, and part of that planning is knowing about your lime quality too.
Exactly. So each year, both in the spring and fall, the Kentucky Department of Agriculture will go and do a lime quality test for, which is measuring the relative neutralizing value. And basically what you need to know about that is that tests the purity of the lime and the size of the lime. The smaller lime is going to break down quicker and it's going to increase the relative neutralizing value. So the higher the relative neutralizing value, the better the lime quality is. And one thing that I would really emphasize with folks, and of course a lot of our soil tests will tell you from what quarry in that area how much lime that you would require. Some people like to think, well, I'm getting more for less money. Well, if the quality's lesser, you need to figure it out on a per acre basis, because it's pretty typical. Most of our quarries are in the mid 60s to low 70s, and that's pretty good quality lime, and that's a percentage. So 65 to 70%. So we would have to add more because it's not all 100% effective. So we need to do the math, and we need to figure out on a per acre basis what the cost is. Just because this particular quarry's lime is cheaper doesn't mean that you're getting more bang for your buck or whatnot.
Yeah, and you got to consider transportation costs and those type of things in it. But where do people find those test results?
So on the University of Kentucky Regulatory Services webpage, you can select lime, publications actually, select that and then click on the lime quality test. And you can look at both the spring and the fall tests. And of course, you'd want to look at the most recent one and take that into account when you're looking at that.
Well, thanks for the information, Jason. If you have questions, make sure to contact your local extension office. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
If you have questions about today's topic, please call the Warren County Extension Office at the number on your screen. Thanks for watching and have a great day.